Hey, welcome back to DieCash Cars. So I know we all like to think about Hot Wheels collecting as a very safe and secure hobby. It's just a relaxation for us to buy all these diecasts of cars that we admire in real life, and it's super fun. But at the same time, as you dive deeper into the hobby, especially the hobby as of today, where there is so much competition in getting cars, a lot like the topic for today, Hot Wheels Boulevard, sometimes you find yourself in a crossroads where you have to make a decision. You have to take risk in how you're getting the cars that you're getting. And you guys know where I'm going with this. Sometimes you just have to pony up the prices on the secondary market in order to buy things, but you're betting on those cars to maintain value or even honestly go up in value in order to justify your purchase. So that's what I'm talking about today, betting on Boulevard, because that is a lineup that I really do believe in from a collector standpoint as well as from a secondary market standpoint to help with the investment side of the hobby. And with that, let's get right into it. So this is one of the latest releases of Hot Wheels Boulevard hitting the Walmart shelves right now, cars number 71 through 75. And I unfortunately did not pick these up from my local Walmart. I had to get these off of eBay. And what I paid for all 10 of these cars, basically a full box worth of this set, I paid a grand total of about $93, and that was shipped, taxes, and fees, everything all included, which I felt like wasn't a bad deal given that this full set right now is selling for about $60 on the secondary market. There was just recently a full set of 10 just like this that sold for $124, so I feel like at the $93 price point, it's really not too terrible. And if you do the math, it comes out to about $9 a car, which retail they're sitting at about $6.50, $7 anyways. So I'm basically paying a premium of about $2 extra per car. And I'm not typically a set collector, but these 5 cars in particular, each one of them had a little bit of significance to me, so I thought it was beneficial to pick up the full set to have all of the cars, because I think long term it's gonna be one of those very desired 5-car sets from Boulevard. Starting with the 93 Ford Escort RS Cosworth. So I don't personally have any personal attachments to this car. Obviously we did not get it here in the United States, but I would say that in the early 2000s, maybe even the late 90s, when Fast and Furious had come out and street racing kind of became an underground thing that everybody was really addicted to, I remember one of the first videos that either I saw on YouTube or maybe it was possibly downloaded off of Napster, if anybody remembers that, was a Ford Escort Cosworth racing a black Toyota Supra, and I just thought that was the coolest video in the world. I mean, super pixelated, it must have been taped on a VCR, but it was just awesome because you could hear all the swooshing sounds of the turbo on the Escort, and the Supra would just be blazing away, and all you could see was the signature taillights of that Supra. But I've always had a lot of respect for the Cosworth Ford Escort, and obviously I'm big into Subarus. Obviously the Escort Cosworth is a big rally legend, so definitely a car that I needed to add to my collection. And then you got the Volkswagen T1 panel bus in this pretty cool surfer dude style paint scheme. I mean, you got the dark turquoise on the bottom, the light on top, and then this really awesome pinstripe down the center that accentuates the shape of the car going into the front bumper, where you got the classic VW headlights and that giant VW badge down the center there. But this is a casting that is super popular, and to me personally, it's starting to grow on me quite a bit. You guys know that I just recently did a video on the Super Mario Brothers set, which does have this Super Mario World T1 panel bus with Super Mario on the side. This one is also one of those very popular sought after T1 panel buses. Right now, secondary market is sitting around that $70 to $80 price point. So we know that the interest is there for the T1 panel buses, no matter how many of these that they release, no matter what the color schemes or themes overall are. But this one, it just looks so proper in this color scheme that I think is definitely one that's going to be sought after moving forward. And obviously because it's part of the Boulevard lineup. I mean, if you just think about all of the T1 panel buses that have been released in the past, I mean, thinking about some of the heavy hitters, I mean, you got the Grateful Dead, you got the Reese's Pieces. So again, very popular cast, very awesome release. I mean, I can't imagine that this doesn't follow in those higher end T1 panel buses footsteps, at least to a certain degree. And then the heavy hitter from the set, you got the 99 Honda Civic EK9 Type R, first time in premium, championship white with white T37s, does have this CJ's logo here on the side, so chasing J's. I mean, it looks pretty clean other than the details, but I can still respect it. It looks really good, a lot like the first edition release, championship white, but we get it in premium detailing this time, so can't hate it. This car alone covers about $20 of the value of this set, and rightfully so. Hopefully this just means that now that they have the tooling, we're going to get a lot more premium EK9s, because as I've said before, this cast ever since its birth has been that it's a legend, and it's continued to hold one of those top tier spots as one of the more iconic Hot Wheel casts of the modern day. And a secondary highlight of this set, you got car number 74, the 1996 Chevy Impala SS. I mean, it just looks glorious, and this is actually only the second time we've seen this car released by Hot Wheels. We haven't seen it ever since its first edition in 2020, basically in the same black color scheme. I mean, the iconic black Chevy Impala with those large 5-spoke wheels. I mean, they did it justice putting it in the Boulevard lineup in this color scheme. No crazy wild graphics, at least just not yet, but definitely respect for this car. I mean, I remember growing up seeing this car drive around town. I mean, man, this car was to be respected, and it looks super clean. Iconic Chevrolet body style here. So definitely had to add this to the collection. Right now, secondary market, I mean, this sits just a little bit below the Honda Civic EK9 at about $15 to $20. And last but not least, you got the 04 mazdaspeed Miata Zoom Zoom. That is where that slogan came from, was when Mazda brought back their aftermarket performance lineup, mazdaspeed. And what's really interesting too is that Hot Wheels has never debuted that mazdaspeed name in the title of a car until now. So this is basically the first mazdaspeed official model. I mean, we've seen cars with mazdaspeed printed on the car, kind of like this Mazda RX-7, but mazdaspeed was definitely not around when the RX-7, the FD, was around. And they did print it on the side here, but again, this model itself was never technically part of the mazdaspeed lineup. And I recall mazdaspeed growing up. I remember having a buddy who actually had the first mazdaspeed vehicle, the Mazda Protege, little turbocharged 4-cylinder front-wheel drive sedan. I mean, it looked pretty fierce with the body kit and the arrow. Basically, mazdaspeed just meant that that model got a turbocharger within the engine. Some models like the mazdaspeed 6 and the mazdaspeed 3, they got all-wheel drive as well too. So pretty cool that, you know, Hot Wheels is getting very definitive when it comes to their models and the specs of the cars that they're releasing. So yeah, each one of these cars is a standout, has their own significance, and it's no question that this set as a whole won't reach the ranks that we've seen with other modern day Boulevard sets. I'm thinking the tippy top is probably the first 3 sets, so cars 1 through 15. Thinking about the sets with the Boulevard Gasser and the Bone Shaker and the Ford GT and the alternate card S15 drift cars. I mean, each one of those sets right now in the secondary market, they're fluttering around that $80 to a little over $100, up to $150. So again, with each one of these cars being so awesome, I can't imagine they won't get up into that sub $100 price point, if not more, depending on how long you're looking to hold these sets for. And that was basically my rationale and justification for picking these up off of eBay and the secondary market. Again, personal attachment to each one of these cars, but at the same time, I feel like the long term, they'll definitely beat out the prices that I paid for them initially. I mean, even if you were to buy these cars individually, I mean, you're talking $10 for the Escort, $10 for the Mazdaspeed Miata, about $20 for the T1 panel, $15 for the Impala, and $20 for the EK9 Civic Type R. I mean, you're talking about a grand total of about $70 to $75 if you buy them individually. So a little word for the wise is, if you're looking to pick up this set, it makes more sense to just pick up the whole set of 5. If not, just picking up a full case or a full set of 10, because I feel like once you buy in bulk, you're definitely going to get a better discount by car. But the long term is that I think all of these cars in general will go up from the prices that we're seeing out there right now. And I definitely mean it when I say betting on Boulevard, because guys, I am doubling down. I mean, just to give you guys a little insight into what I'm buying for my own personal collection, but also from an investment side of things as well too. I'm actually looking for good examples of the original Boulevard sets, a lot like this Porsche 999 3 GT2, one of the premier Boulevard cars that came out way back in the day. And the value of this car in the secondary market definitely shows right now, sitting in that $250 to $300 price point. This one in particular, I actually just picked it up a couple weeks ago for $255 plus shipping and fees. All said and done, it came out to about $270. So again, I know that is a very high price to pay, but you gotta imagine that moving forward, this car is gonna be harder and harder to find, harder and harder to source. The values are just gonna continue to go up, especially since we're still getting a lot of modern day Boulevard sets to be released in the next couple of years. In which case, I think is only going to drive the value of these older Boulevard casts up. I honestly see a car like this as iconic and as sought after as it is. I would compare it to what we've seen with the older Ferrari racers or speed machine cars, some of those older Ferraris, or even going to vintage racing. I mean, there's some very pricey vintage racing cars that are almost untouchable at this point. I mean, thinking about like the BRE vintage racing right now, that sits at about $300, $350. I remember there was a time when that thing was touching that $500 price point. So in all honesty, with the popularity of Porsche and Boulevard, I can't imagine this doesn't get up to that $300 sub $400 price point someday. And again, I have no idea how long that's going to be until it gets to that point, but I only see the trajectory on these cars honestly going up, because they're not going to be put into reproduction or re-released again. And even if they do, there's going to be subtle differences. We are going to know that this is the original Boulevard Porsche 993 GT2, and that's what's going to make it so rare and sought after. But let me know what you guys think about Hot Wheels Boulevard overall, and if you think it's a good time to start investing in the more vintage Boulevard lineup, given the popularity that this set still has today. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time on DieCash Cars.